So if you're familiar with this channel, you know that this isn't usually how I operate, but I had to make an exception on this one because this content is so important. You see, I filmed one really long video about how to capture great audio right at the source. It was good content, but it was way too long, and I don't want you to miss anything. So this is part 2 of how to capture great audio at the source. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to treat your environment to cut down the echo and the reverb. The last one, if you missed it, I'll link it right here, was all about your microphone and your microphone technique. Let's get into part 2 of how to capture great audio right at the source.
This is the place for podcasters. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Brian here with Summit City Studios, and this is the place for podcasters. On this channel, we discuss tips, tools, and tech to help you create a great podcast, and I believe a great podcast sounds great. So right now, we're going to talk about how to capture great audio right at the source, and we're going to move on to the second category of things that you can do to get better audio right at the source of wherever it is that you are recording. The first thing is to reduce the ambient noise. I'm going to show you the difference here in a comparison between this Blue Yeti microphone, the condenser mic, and the PreSonus PD70 dynamic mic right here in the same space. The first sounds you're going to hear, and I'll explain it as we go, is the sound of the microphone in an untreated space. So meaning it's the same studio that I always use, but I'm going to have the heater on that I have because it's cold here in my office, and I'm going to have, there's an air return vent in the ceiling that actually is quite noisy because the furnace is just on the other side of the wall here behind my camera. So it tends to be quite loud in here as I record. So here's the difference between the condenser mic and the dynamic mic in the space with moving air with fans and air return vents. This is the PreSonus PD70 dynamic microphone in the same studio space with no processing, and we have the heater fan on behind me and the air return vent on just in front of me, and this is how it sounds. This right here is the Blue Yeti large diaphragm condenser microphone in the same studio that I always use with zero processing on the microphone. A couple of lights with fans blowing, a heater fan blowing behind me, and an air return vent up in the ceiling that's quite loud in here. This is what it sounds like. Now I'm going to turn off the fan, I'm going to cover the air return vent, and we're going to see how it sounds. This is the PreSonus PD70 dynamic microphone in the same studio space with zero processing, with the heater fan turned off behind me and the air return vent covered. And this is how it sounds. This is the Blue Yeti large diaphragm condenser microphone in the same studio with no processing on the mic whatsoever. But now I've turned off the heater behind me and I've covered the air return vent, and this is how it sounds. So you can hear the difference just between the two mics. So the difference between the dynamic and the condenser mic, we've talked about how they're and why they're picking up things differently here in this room. But even by covering the vents and turning off fans, you're going to hear the difference that makes regardless of whichever mic that you use. Hey, I'm going to cut in real quick and ask that if you're finding value in this video or you found any of these tips and tools helpful so far, be sure to hit that like button. That not only lets me know that you appreciate the content that I'm creating, but it actually helps others find this video because of your engagement with it. Now let's get back to it. So now let's talk about sound treatment in your studio or your recording space, whether that's your office or your bedroom or even your closet. Sound treatment is key. So when I've built this office, I was incredibly excited because it gave me this beautiful space to work. But I was incredibly disappointed when I first walked in, knowing that I was going to use the studio to record podcasts and record YouTube content because there was a lot of echo in this space. I could snap my fingers and hear it bounce around all 4 walls. I had a hard ceiling, hard floor, and 4 hard walls that were not ideal for recording high quality audio. So what I did was I built some sound panels, and you can buy these online. You can buy the foam ones. You can buy professionally built sound panels. I decided to just do some research and build my own. You can search for homemade DIY sound panels. That's how I did it. And I just mounted them on the wall here that you can see now. And this is the wall right behind my camera. On the other side of that wall is our furnace. It's really loud. So I can show you how I did that at some point if you're interested. But it cut down the sound in both directions from the furnace and from here. So now I'm not getting as much echo. I also put a rug on the floor that helped to cut down some echo. I had some soft chairs in here that I've since gotten rid of, but some chairs, some soft furniture, some pillows, all of that will help cut down the echo in the space that you're recording in. If you can't build sound panels, if you are at your office and you can't record in a closet, there's a last resort you can get to. And this is what I do sometimes. I use blankets. Now this is an old baby blanket that one of my kids used to use. I often use it just to cover hard surfaces here in my office. As I record, it cuts down on the echo. Anything soft, anything cushiony, anything like a pillow or a blanket will help cut down echo. So I use baby blankets, and I also use sometimes these heavy drop cloths. This is a cloth I used when I first started filming as a backdrop to cover the ugly wall that was behind me at the time. But I still use this, and I will hang it on either side of me or behind the camera to reduce that echo. So anything that you can do to cover your surfaces, to cover your walls, to record in a space that has a lot of soft surface area is going to help the quality of your podcast recording right here at the source. So those are just a few of my tips and tricks for how to reduce the ambient noise in the room and cut down the echo in the space that you're recording in to capture great audio right at the source. But I'd love to know how you do it. So in the comments below, let me know your tips and your tricks for capturing great audio right at the source. If you found value in this video or maybe plan to make use of any of the tips that I shared, be sure to hit that like button and let me know you valued this content, and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos just like this. And I'll see you in the next one. If you're a podcaster or considering podcasting and you're curious about the equipment that you need, how to record, or you just are looking for somebody to help edit and produce your podcast, find me at summitcitystudios.com to find out how I can help you create a great sounding podcast.